G'day YouTube. Today's pretty exciting. I've received my 3D printer finally. I've been waiting for a few weeks for it to be shipped over, and this video is the unboxing and assembly of it. So as you can see here, it's a reasonable size box and packaging as well. I've bought this off a importing-exporting website called Alibaba, and this specific one's come from China, just like most products these days. Did a little bit of research trying to find the best printer that would suit my needs, as for print size but also the quality of it. So I've got my laptop here where I'll be able to put the SD card for all of the instructions for assembly, put that in there, but I've also got a PDF document up with a few specifications that I'll share with you, so you know what sort of printer this is. Now this printer is the item number, they refer to it as a Laurel A8. It's a RepRap Prusa i3 3D printer. It has a LCD screen, SD card, USB slots. It has a print size of 220 by 240 millimeter area. It's suitable for computers with Windows, Mac, and also, I believe, Linux systems as well. So it's a 240 volt plug, 180 watt, it's got a heated bed, it's got a precision of layer resolution 0.1 millimeters, print precision 0.1 to 0.3 millimeters, so it's not too bad, and the actual accuracy is 0.012 millimeters on the XY axis and 0.004 millimeters on the Z axis. So hopefully we get some pretty good prints out of this. Not too sure if I've mentioned earlier, but I do a lot of modeling on AutoCAD, 3D modeling. So fingers crossed I can export some of those models onto some of the software that I have on my computer, and then be able to convert it to the G code and the STL files that the printers need to be able to print. So that's enough said. Let's open up the box and see what everything's like. Packaging is great, and it looks like they've used a whole roll of tape on this, so let's slice open. So there we go. Now this printer was bought from a company called Shenzhen Salon Technologies Co Limited, and I had a contact over there called Justin Tan. He was quite a nice bloke, and he's been helping me negotiate pricing and also negotiate shipping. And I had to get this shipped up to New South Wales at my old address up there, because it was going to cost me an extra $80 US. They all price things in US. $80 US to send it over, and I ended up sending it back to my home and then back down to where I live down here for a fraction of that price. So it ended up being maybe 3 days longer than what it should have been, but it worked out to be a lot cheaper, which I can then put into buying 3D filament. Alright, box is open. We've got a bit of cling wrap here with polystyrene foam. Slice that open there. Underneath that first layer of foam, there is a few small packages here with a package full of cable tidy to keep all the wiring sorted. We've got a pack of like 1,000 screws and nuts and washers. And then we got the actual circuit board with the LCD screen here as well. And that's the first issue that I've come across. It's got the wrong plug. Now this is rated at 110 to 240 volts. So that will need a universal converter to run, and luckily I have one sitting just over there somewhere. But I could always wire in an Australian plug later on down the track. Now we've also got this here, we've got a bit of foam on it. This is the heat bed, which also has the wire for the temperature. Okay, that's good. Whoa, foam's going everywhere. Okay. Moving further along, we have a little cooling fan here. Some basic wiring with some moment switches. Beautiful. Look at that. A little screwdriver kit with Allen keys and a little spanner as well to assemble everything, so I don't have to worry about going out to try and get some tools for it or using my own. And we've got a little pair of wire cutters there as well. This is pretty good. Okay, moving down to the next layer. The foam's not the best quality, but so far everything looks like it's all right. Okay, they send out a little SD card here. Well, it's a micro SD, but it's got the SD converter there, so that's a 8 GB memory card. Okay, moving further along, we've got a USB cable for all the transfers, a bit of the rubber track, another little cooling fan there. That's pretty cool, that one. It looks like a little mini turbo. A whole bunch of acrylic parts that have, they look like they've been laser cut, these ones. Some more parts. A couple of connector terminals. This here, there's a couple of parts that have been 3D printed that have some of the linear bearings in it. Looks like it's quite good quality as well. This, from what they've said, this is printed on one of their printers. So straight away you can, I can see the quality there. I'll get a few close-ups of all these parts further down the track. Okay. Now this looks like the main motherboard that controls all the stepper motors inside. And now we have all of the acrylic frames. This is all probably, I don't know if it's polycarbonate or just perspex. Yeah, pretty good quality though. Yeah, no, it's all perspex. It's all laser cut. It's got all the brackets and frames here, so it's a gloss black, and all that paper just gets peeled off once it's assembled to protect everything. All right. Now on the side here, they send out 2 test rolls of printing filament. So this is 1.75mm PLA 3D filament, and this one here, that's it black, and this one here is 1.75mm ABS 3D filament, and that is in a white colour. Just up there. Alright, peeling down the next layer. Oh, fun. Loads more parts. These are a lot more of the perspex parts. And this is going to make it extremely easy to assemble because all these parts have all the holes in them. There's no drilling required. It should be just assembling. Fingers crossed anyway. Okay, we've got the extruder head. We've got the whole unit there with a little extruding nozzle, all the wiring in there. So that's that there. Then we've got a couple more linear bearings, nice little tiny ones. And we've got here, we got 6 of them all together. That's them there. And we've got all the stepper motors. Stepper motors with the wire. And these here are the little adapters to be able to adapt it to whatever we need to. There's 4 of them here. So there's 2 with adapters and then 2 with the little cogs on them to use with a little rubber belt that I showed you a bit earlier on. Okay. 2 packets here, one with several threaded rods for screwing things together, and they've also got a couple of the Z-axis threaded rods, which are completely different to just the standard thread for a nut and bolt. And then we've got several rods here to use with the linear bearings. Put those aside. One more box on this layout, and if I'm not mistaken, this should be, which it is, the power source. There's the power source inside there. It slides out, all your terminals on the ends. Beautiful. Okay. Next layer. There is no next layer. Beautiful. We're at the bottom of the box. Now, if I set that aside, dust myself off, we should be able to start getting onto the assembly of everything. So from what they've told me, the SD card has the instructions on it. So I'm going to open this up, have a look, try and find the instructions, and then we shall get onto a bit of a time lapse with it being assembled. I'm not going to take you through every single step because most people don't have the identical printer. This is just to show you what a basic printer looks like and what's involved with putting one together if you do buy a kit, and then we'll check out the quality in a few videos following that. But I'll give you a bit of a review of how easy it was to assemble, the precision of the parts, and if everything was in the box once it's together. So hopefully it only takes a couple of hours, not too long. So let's get to it. Cool. Alright, so after a few minutes of having a look through that SD card, it's apparent that they don't have instructions with the printer. So the only things that were included on the SD card were the program for printing 3D files, a couple of still images to do with the circuitry and that wiring, which will help when it comes to that stage, but nothing to actually tell you what goes where. So this may take a little longer than I expected, but I'm going to use the limited pictures that I have and I'm going to try and assemble it. In the meantime, I have sent an email to the sales rep asking if something was missing or if that's the way they send everything out. So fingers crossed I can use my initiative and try to get this together. So let's give it a shot. Hey guys, well the printer's assembled. It's the second night. I came across just a couple of issues that I had to work my head around, and got a little bit too late last night, so I couldn't keep going. The frame went together quite well. All of the perspex has all the little screw connectors built into it that worked fabulous. All of the 3D printed parts on it worked great as well for all of the roller bearings here, and the belts all went in great. The wiring is a bit of a mess on it, unfortunately. I'll put up, if I already haven't, a close-up of the wiring on the side, just to show you that it's not the neatest. I've tried to do my best putting all this cabling around it, but it's neat enough for not getting in the way. So I've made sure that all accesses do have clearance for wiring, and everything moves smoothly. Power pack's been wired up on the side. I did end up finding an Australian plug that I've put on it instead of the Chinese one that was sent out. Also, I had a few problems with missing screws. There were some metric 4 by 8mm screws missing, and I needed 12 of them to screw on the little hot end bracket here onto these linear bearings here. And I had to go out to local hardware and get a packet of those, but they didn't sell them that short, so I ended up having to cut down the length of the screws to put in. It wasn't that hard, but it was a little bit painful, and obviously delayed it by a few hours. Besides that, the little LCD display fit in quite nicely. Everything seems to be going well, and I've got a couple of test spools that were sent out with the printer. I've got 2 half kilo spools, and they are ABS and the other one's PLA. 1.75mm, so I've just got that clamped in there and on a little stand that was supplied. So now I guess we need to plug it in, and I'll work out what's happening, and then I'll run through a few settings with you, and then on the next video we'll do a bit of a test print. Cool.